Hello, 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 and welcome back to WOR PC Tier 3. We return for Season 18. Yes, we are back for another season, and of course this time on the brand new game of F1 24. Not so new since its release, as it released a bit earlier than usual, but it is a new game, a new season, and new drivers, of course, in the tier. But there is one difference. There's one small difference. Because we have not changed. Commentary people have not changed. Me and Frostbreath, we're still here. How are you, my good friend?
I can't believe it's been 2 months, actually. Time just flies by, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Very, very different 2 months ago. But it is, of course, great to be back once again for Tier 3. We've got quite a lot of drivers, that we haven't seen before. I'll actually bring up the graphic for that here. As you can see, these are the Tier 3 placements. Few new drivers, few returning drivers, of course. Ivan Santamaria, I think Polkis, I think is one that's returning. Balin Alikis, of course. There's quite a few that are new. There's a lot of drivers that are new. Of course, we've got some like Itzvan Tomasi and Zalan Bida, who of course we know. Also like Balin Alikis, Polkis, Ivan Santamaria. You know, all these drivers. You know, we've got. You know, there's quite a few that we know, but there's a lot of new drivers this season as well at the same time. So we're going to have to remember names because remember, we're going to be using multiplayer cars for the start of this season. So we won't be able to go off of the usual 10 teams, 20 drivers, just to make everybody aware of that. If you did not know, we are running the F1 World car as it's known, or the multiplayer car, you can call it. So people are running, I believe they're running some different liveries. It's a little bit mixed at the moment with who's going with what liveries. Well, one thing we've got to talk about is which race it is, because it's Australia. It is time for Australia. Round 1 is this great track of Australia. We do love a bit of Melbourne, don't we? We love going down under. As you can see, the rest of the calendar, we've got Austria, Belgium, amazing back-to-back races there. Sao Paulo, a driver favourite, a fan favourite, everybody's favourite. We then go to a couple of tracks. We go to the Middle East a little bit, to Qatar and Abu Dhabi. We then return to Europe to go to Italy. Then we go to Bahrain, and then we go to Mexico City, Saudi Arabia, and the finale in the great place of Suzuka that we all love and cherish very much. What's your opinions on this calendar? It is generally something that I do really like. I love this calendar. It's amazing.
There's plenty of tracks that I personally like. Austria, Belgium, always very good. And I do like the fact that the season finale is in Japan, because remembering in real life, it's been ages since the season finale has been there. So it's good to see the grand finale happening in Japan
I definitely do agree with you there. Let's move to a track map. I have got a track map for this week. It's 5.278 kilometers, 3.279 miles, 14 turns, 3 DRS zones down the first straight of the pit straight, down the second straight, and down the back straight. Not the curved one anymore. Fast corners like turn 9 and 10 to watch out for, of course. Those are two of the corners. One of the shortest tracks when it comes down to sort of lap time, yet it is still quite challenging in its own right. Of course, turn 9 and 10, but also corners like turn 11, 12, and 13, and 14, that combo of 4 corners also make it incredibly difficult. We're loading into the lobby now, so we'll be getting into that in a slight moment, as I think we are going in. But let's see what these drivers can do. We're looking, I think it's going to be quite varied on lap time, of course. That's, I think, something that we all know. It's going to be very varied on lap time. Sorry for the screen being completely off for a second. So, from these drivers' experience, from, these drivers that we know, who are you feeling? What's your early idea of who's going to come out on top here?
Well, 2 seasons ago, we had Deja Demicoglu struggling. Then last season, he managed to cling the championship for himself. Last season, we had Ivan Santamaria being up there several times and struggling other times. So for now, he is the driver I'm looking at. But there's so much unfamiliarity right now with this grid, and I'm curious to see what everybody else can bring to the table.
I do want to make everybody clear that there isn't any game sound for tonight because I have some glitched audio, which I do suspect is maybe a me problem. So I do apologize for any of those inconsistencies or problems we have here tonight. I've noticed one thing, and I'm not sure whether it's just me, but it seems a little laggy. I'm not sure whether
It's fine for me, actually. It's running smooth.
Yeah, might just be my screen. Who knows? Might be. It might just
You
be.
never know.
Probably is just my screen.
It's the start of a new season, so several things are being tested out by ourselves, of course. So apologies if things.
Track is René Klein, actually. Because I was looking at
He's
Zalan
early,
Bida, thought he was the first. Didn't see René Klein at first, but René Klein going to be an interesting one to watch. He didn't have a great season last season. He had a bit of a struggle here and there. It was quite a bit of a down season for him. But if we talk about down seasons, we're going to have to talk about how this man is going to claim the first lap here in PC Tier 3 of Season 18. So let's watch what he does on his lap. So here he goes, heading down the pit straight, opening up the DRS, of course, all the way down the pit straight. Car on the right, of course, the cars are ghosted for now. And he goes off track and invalidates. Ooh, a little bit too risky, going a little bit too much off of the start.
Yeah, maybe distracted by the cars coming out in turn 1.
Maybe.
I mean...
But we got Zalan Bida. We'll go with Zalan Bida into turn 3. Very nice. Now through into the corner of turn 4. Again, very smooth from the FVR driver, as we can't say that they're at any specific team at the moment. Now, heading down, ending off Sector 1, 26.132 is the time to beat in Sector 1. Not an easy time to beat. Quite good so far. He's going to open the DRS once again on his lap, as now he heads round the long left-hander, which isn't really a straight, but it's just a left-hander. Now, heading down into turn 9 and 10, the fastest corners on the circuit, and to be honest, some of the most difficult. We're now going to head up towards turn 11 and 12. Double right-hander is coming up here. You've got to get this corner's curb is quite strange. The way you've got to take the corner has always confused me. Now coming towards... That's through turn 12. Now into turn 13, the hairpin. Quite odd. You can lock the rears very easily, as I've done many times. And through turn 14 in the final corner, opening the DRS, pushing all the way up to the line. Of course, you can now use overtake on this year's game. And it's a 1 minute 15.305. And not a bad start to qualifying, but maybe a little bit off of the pace at the moment.
Yeah, could also be because he used most of his battery up before the final stretched to the line, meaning that he had a little less power, a little less speed to use right there. It's, of course, drivers had 2 months right now to adjust to the new system with the ERS. Of course, you can indeed use overtake on qualifying at the moment, as we see Igor Piasecki going fastest overall with his brilliantly pink car over there. A 1 minute 15.286, just marginally quicker than Zalan Bida, sitting in second place with his league mate Tilen Schmidt in third at the moment. Let's see how they're all going to use their ERS throughout this track, because there's many places where you can use it, but you've got to be careful not to blow it all until you reach the finish line.
Definitely. Tilen Schmidt, of course. Oh, and there goes Lucas Besner, who we saw last season. Up to P3 he goes in the very, should we say, McLaren-inspired car. It is the McLaren esports livery, I do believe. Jay Kennedy goes even faster, 6,000ths faster. Not a lot faster, but the small amount faster that he did need to go, and he ultimately did do it. So not a bad lap time. This sort of start of qualifying going pretty well for some people. But definitely, these two, Jay Kennedy and Igor, getting some incredible first laps there. Definitely, although Zalan Bida's close, we got a sort of bit of a Mexican standoff here between these top 3 drivers, because they're all within just, 25,000ths of each other.
They are very close. And in fact, the entire top 5 is within 1/10 of a second. So that is promising if it's going to be the trend for this tier. I've seen several drivers invalidating their laps, so plenty are struggling to get within those white lines, or yellow lines here in Australia, we should say. We're currently following Istvan Tamashi. I don't believe he's on a hot lap at the moment, so he's abandoned his previous one, going back into the pit lane. Same goes, I believe, for Liam Bowman, who has abandoned his attempt as well. Several others are still on outlap, and I believe Julian28 just started his, as he's on the main straight at the moment in his very fancy McLaren esports livery. There he is. as he exits turn 2 on the second DRS straight and up into turn 3 he goes. Let's see what the first sector is going to look like. I believe we've got some comparison material. A 26.3 was it from Zalen Bieder from the top of my head? I hope I didn't mess that one up. Turn 5 then it is, and then approaching a several tricky bit of corners right here. 26.202, looking quite decent through there. Then up to the next part where another long stretch of DRS is coming up. They are technically calling this a straight, but it really isn't, as we're headed straight through a corner without a number right here. DRS wide open, 36% battery left there. The hot lap mode is on right now. Some very experienced drivers have said to turn off the hot lap mode when you're going through corners, but Julian definitely is not taking that advice too hard at the moment. Just a few more corners to go. Let's see where he's going to end up. Should be somewhere around the top 10, I'd suggest. But we'll have to find out in a few corners' time. 2 more to go. The game is, as you're watching as a spectator, very easily showing every driver locking up. Fortunately, I don't think that was the case in any of the corners for Julian. He's got 8% remaining as he crosses the line. It's actually fastest overall with a 1 minute 15.168. Eat your heart out for the other drivers. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah, I do agree with you there. Very strong lap time from Julian. He looked like he just, he had a little wobble here or there. But ultimately, compared to, we saw with Jay Kennedy, he had a bit of sliding on the rear. We saw, I think, in the last corner, he was sliding a little bit. Julian, that car looks very planted. It looks very planted. It looks, a little slide here and there, but I would say that probably cost him maybe 200ths across the whole lap. But that sort of orange McLaren looking car at the moment, looking very nice. But Jacob, I can't say your last name, I'm sorry, but a 1 minute 15.039, and then another improvement here in qualifying by a driver that we have not seen in Tier 3 before. Very interesting. The second runs, or should we say some of these drivers' first runs, but later in the session, clearly are showing that there is a bit of a pace difference at the moment. There's quite a bit of time between your first the start of qualifying 15th minute and around the 10th minute.
Yeah, I feel like several people have been saying that the track evolution in this game in qualifying is absolutely enormous. So timing might potentially be crucial. I don't know if they fixed it or whether it has been accidentally removed through a patch or whatever has happened since the game has released. But if that is the case, then people are going to have to wait until the very last moment to get their lap done. We see Lolo Vera coming in a third position for now, a 1 minute 15.210, 7/100ths precisely quicker than Jay Kennedy, who, speaking of whom, is currently on his second out lap to get another hot lap in right there. Trying to find somebody else is currently on the hot lap. I believe Lewis Walker is 1/10 quicker through the first sector, so there's an improvement on his way. If he keeps it up like that, he might jump into the top 5. Very quick driver, Lewis Walker, indeed. The FVR league is very strongly represented here in Tier 3, so is TTM, of course, as well. So we might see a little rivalry. Purple middle sector, he is looking very strong indeed. He's, as you can see, using the default F1 World car setup. Or livery, I should say. I'm always fascinated to see what drivers do with their liveries, if they get the creative freedom. But some drivers would just rather prefer to have it as it is right there. So, final corner for Lewis Walker. Just needs to cross the line. Let's see if he's going to improve by a margin. Purple was in the middle sector, so what's it going to be across the line? And there we go. Into the top 3 he goes. But he's still well over 10th slower than provisional pole.
Yeah, I do agree with you there. I think... You see, this is what I've just realized. Between Julian and Lewis Walker, it's very different, I think, approach to their lap. Julian was, I think, a bit smoother. He wasn't throwing in the car as much. But that car definitely, again, I think Lewis Walker is maybe one of the drivers who's getting thrown off a little bit by the car not exactly being planted to the floor. It's wiggling about a bit. It's having a bit of understeer here and there. We saw, for instance, through the hairpin in turn 13, massive lockup through there. Which definitely would have lost him, maybe half a tenth or a tenth. So definitely there's still time to find. But what's interesting me now is how some drivers, they're not actually finding a lot of time over their first laps. For instance, Jay Kennedy, just found 37 thousandths over his lap. I think Justin Ertz has just finished the lap. He's only gone about a tenth faster. Nobody's really finding, if you set one lap time, you're not finding a lot of time in your second run. But it seems like if you started your sort of qualifying later on, sort of around 10 minutes in, the lap time just seemed to be really good, especially for instance, Jacob, who's about to start another lap. But you gotta, it's got me thinking slightly, why is there a difference between the drivers who've done 2 runs now, or just 1 run, but later in the session? Potentially it could be just the way that the track is, maybe heat or whatever. But it's quite odd to see sort of a 2/10 gap, between P1 and P5, just over 2/10, as Lucas Baesner finds quite a bit of time as he goes P2. But you know what I mean? It's quite strange to see sort of 2/10 between P1 and P6, especially for how close we're used to the tier being, as Jacob invalidates on his lap.
Yeah, I was watching him. He was definitely on a flyer, but unfortunately a bit too much off the track, and away goes your lap. Still, though, he has remained pretty much untouchable as the only driver so far in 1 minute 15.0s, and I've been made aware in the chat, thank you Timon and Nathan, for making us aware that Jacob Ritsetsut, I hope I pronounced that correctly. I always at least try. He's a Haas development driver. So we've got somebody here with a lot of experience for sure. So I'm not entirely surprised with that information that he's on there right now on top of this tier at the moment. There are still 5 minutes remaining though. Could still be anybody's game. So let's see if he stays at the top of the field.
I've got to name a few drivers quickly who, even if they didn't perform great last season, they're really struggling in this session so far. One of these drivers is Ivan Santamaria down in 15th. He's invalidated his run. And the other two is Istvan Tomasi and Liam Bowman. Istvan Tomasi, of course, we've seen him. He has pace. He can drive. Last season he clearly showed, I think he got a podium or 2. He was clearly, a really strong contender, race on race, qualifying.
Mm-hmm.
But he just doesn't seem to be able to hook up the lap at the moment. And I know for this last season, we didn't have a track so difficult with track limits like Australia is. But it's the same for Liam Bowman as well. He's having the same problem as, and it's quite surprising to see, quite a few drivers that we know are quite strong just struggling a bit to keep up with the new boys, shall we say.
Yeah, but it's also with the new handling model, I am afraid to say. Because I've heard several drivers are just not pleased with the handling model as it stands right now. And some people, I feel like, haven't yet come to grip with it. And that might be another reason why they're struggling. But it's definitely also because of new drivers trying to show what they're capable of. Everybody's in the pit lane right now. And this could be a good opportunity for the drivers, by the way, to check which pit box they're in. Because if you're going to plan a pit stop, you do not really want to go in there together with your teammate, especially under the circumstances of cars being really close together on the track when you go for your stop. So I would recommend them check out where you are, who's next door to you, to make sure you will not mess up your pit stop.
We've got a car coming out on track now. That is... Who is that, actually?
It's a black car. No, it's Tallinn Schmid. Yeah.
Tallinn Schmid. He's at P12 at the moment. He's got quite a lot of time to find it if he wants to get himself in a potential chance for pole. He's got a lot of time to find. He's got 3.5 tenths to find, which, of course, as we've seen, has almost been ludicrous to sort of say that a driver could find that much time when already they're that close to the sort of, to the rest of the drivers.
Yeah, I'm actually shocked we're saying that 3.5 tenths is a lot of time these days.
Yeah, we compared to last season, it is, because remember, end of last season, we actually had a very close grid throughout the entire qualifying season.
Definitely, yeah.
I think in a few races we saw the top 10 being split by about a tenth of a second. So compared to usual, we've got quite a sort of big varying distance between, there's about 3/10 between P1 and P10. So there's quite a big distance at the moment. A few drivers are close to each other, of course, but still, René Klein, I think, is just disconnected.
Yep.
So Shall we run on board with Tyron Schmid for his final run in this qualifying session? He's going to have a bit of traffic in his way.
Yeah, it's going to be quite the adventure for him.
Let's go. Let's see what he's going to do. Into turn 1, he has to make it perfect. He does, all the way up to the line. He pushed it all the way, using overtake to get down this second straight with all the speed he's got. Now heading down into turn 3. And it used to be a hard braking zone, no longer. Quite a bit easier than it used to be a few years back, although I'm harping back quite far. Now coming through the right-hander, now heading towards the end of sector 1. Of course, the cars are ghosted. We will have a lobby restart as well, remember, to get rid of the ghosting.
Oh.
Which is fine. It gives us time to talk about qualifying, which is always nice. But you could see, Tyron Schmid, so far, that invalidation.
Yeah. I was about to say he's invalidated.
Yeah.
He's still got, a minute to prepare, but he's still pushing.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to go for another try.
Ivan Santamaria. I think, is it Ivan Santamaria? No, Lighty invalidated. So it is Ivan Santamaria. He's the next driver to come across the line. Let's ride on board with him from where we left our good friend of Tyron Schmid. Now, coming into turn 9-10, fastest corners, and Ivan Santamaria.
Whoa.
He's done
Easy
it again.
there.
Second time here tonight. He's retired. So Tyron Schmid retires from the session. Second time here tonight that we've we've seen drivers struggling a little bit. I think we have. I'm not sure who we have. We have Jacob, actually. It is Jacob, the man on pole. He's improving by 800ths out of the second sector, all really pushing his car all the way around the track, using everything he can. Lock up again. Everybody being caught out by that corner a little bit. Now, as we head up towards the line, he's
4 milliseconds slower.
Doesn't find that time. We just saw Igor. He's improved by a 10th and a half up to P3. I'm just going to wait for the drivers to cross the line because I don't know. It's Van Tomasi done with this session. I'm generally not sure who's crossing the line next. Too many people are crossing the line. We just saw Liam Bowman.
It's quite busy out there.
Liam Bowman, first and final run. And it's good enough. Zalambida, P2. Justin Ertz goes P3.
Same time. Same lap time.
Hassif!
Oh, there we go.
Into the 1 minute 14.997. He's made it work. Jay Kennedy goes up to P3, jumping both FVR drivers. And that, I think, is almost everybody. I think that is everybody.
It is, yeah.
Wow.
That is impressive.
Minute. We saw this last season, though, from Hassif. He did the same thing last season. Just pulling it out of the bag in the last, final few seconds. I think he did the same with a podium last season as well, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he's got this kind of, oh, hey, I'm here too vibe around him.
Yeah,
he just pops up out of nowhere, and I'm very impressed with his lap time.
I don't even know where he was before this, so I think, was he P10 or something? P9? I think he was a few...
He was somewhere in the middle pack, yeah.
Yeah.
And he just pulls this off.
Only driver to reach a 1 minute 14, which I'm surprised by, actually, to be honest.
Yeah, I expected more drivers going to 1 minute 14s as well. But then again, a lot of drivers today, I can't help but notice, have struggled with track limits. Many, I think at least 10 or 12 laps have been invalidated by track limits there. So I think potentially there could have been more.
I think even then, I was looking at the predictions for the lap times. And I got a strange prediction from my predictor. And it was
your predictor.
Yeah, I actually have that.
You have a predictor.
Yeah, I do actually for
interesting.
My lap times. But
do tell me more.
It was 1 minute. It was a 1 minute 14.6 to 0.7. So they're a good 0.2 shy. But let's go through the qualifying order. Hassith starts on pole position, the only man to get into a 1 minute 14. Jacob starts second with Jay Kennedy pushing out the front three. Zalambida is fourth with Justin Ertz fifth. Lucas Besner in sixth. Igor seventh. Lewis Walker eighth. Lolo Vera in ninth. Julian 28 in 10th. Liam Bowman 11th. Isaac in 12th. Patrick in 13th. Tyler in 14th. Rene Klein in 15th. Jan in 16th. Ivan Santamaria in 17th. Daniele Farinelli in 18th. That was a mouthful to say. But I believe that is it. I think we will be having a restart. If you could just get that. If you could just check that.
Yeah, it's actually a restart confirmed. Otherwise, ghosting would have been on for the race, I think.
Yeah, that would have been some interesting racing. So I'll take us back to our comms box. because it feels right to do that because we're having a restart. Or should we watch the carnage?
Why not?
Yeah,
Let's just
watch
have a
the
little bit
carnage.
of extra fun. Just a bit of a
Although
bonus.
they're ghosting, there won't be any carnage.
That's the point. Let's see how they make carnage without being able to touch each other.
Yeah. Qualifying, though, we do have to say about qualifying. Interesting.
Indeed.
Some drivers... I think we had a very mixed grid. Some drivers pushing too much. Some drivers being a bit too conservative. One of those drivers being, for instance, Lewis Walker, who showed quite a bit of promise at the start of the session. But then he kind of fell away as we see a car going straight on. Doing a Michael Schumacher from, I believe, 2000.
Yeah, people are just basically just feeling around, how far can I push? Again, they've only had 2 months to get used to the game. Things are very different. So just trying it out. How far can I go? And of course, Australia being a very different track, especially in track limits and those tricky corners and curbs. It's a difficult one to get perfect.
Yeah, I do agree with you there. I think that is something that we always like to see. I'm gonna bring us back to our comms box because it's gonna be a few minutes until we get any of the proper racing action underway, as we know. Still, what is your sort of opinion on that? Because of course it's a difficult one to say about. The sort of why was there such big differences in qualifying, but at the same time, you've also got to go, were the drivers really showing their pace, or were they just being a little bit safe? And
I think very few have been able to show their pace, if you ask me.
One driver who was, I think we know who was on the rails, two drivers, three, I'll say three actually. Zalan Bida, we know he was on the rails on his laps. He was really pushing the car all the way. Igor, we know he was pushing his car to every little bit. That car sliding everywhere. And one other man, Ivan Santamaria. Even though he didn't get really a lap done, he still somehow actually wasn't looking bad in his sectors. He would have actually, if I'm looking at it now, he would have been P7 in qualifying if he didn't invalidate. So he was actually looking pretty good.
Yeah, less than half a second away from pole position, which isn't really that much, to be fair. But then again, tier 3 differences. So yeah, I think during the race we'll see more drivers shine in the terms of race pace, and over the course of this season we'll see them climb, make improvements, get better, get stronger, especially with all these tracks coming up. Austria, Belgium especially, I think that's where several drivers can shine. A long track, plenty of nice corners, I just love that circuit, and I think many of the drivers do. So I think that is the moment where they will truly shine.
I do agree with you very much. I have no words for that qualifying. I mean, realistically, you'd say it was close, blink of an eye. But when we look at the sort of the gaps that we had last season, they're a lot bigger. The gaps are a lot bigger this season than they were last season. Of course, different game, handling. Nobody's really enjoying the handling.
I'm trying to think what the gaps were last season. I can't remember it.
Yeah, so the gaps, I think I saw something. Somebody actually, I think, put it down somewhere. I think the gap was something like the average between P1 and P10 was, I think, 0.146 or something. So it was about a tenth and a half.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I mean, across different tracks, we had Belgium as well. To add in Belgium to that shows that, Belgium, I think, I remember it very clearly. The whole grid was split by about quarter of a second. So it was incredibly close from front to back of the grid. And it's like that every qualifying, every race. But this, maybe, just maybe...
I think it's still promising. I think it will get closer as the season progresses.
Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, compared to last season, big difference. But of course, different game, completely different handling. I understand that the drivers are struggling with the handling of something or other, shall we say, that EA have given us slash Codemasters for this season in this game. But I do think the good thing is we're seeing drivers having to drive differently. We spent the last sort of we spent F1 22 and 23 with the drivers mostly driving similar to how they did across both games. A little bit small differences, mostly the same. But this year's game, they've of course had to see massive changes, completely change things up, and I generally think it's actually a good thing that we've seen these changes in the sort of handling. They're not the best changes, of course. They're not those, but it's still changes that I think are pushing the drivers to try and find the time in different ways. And I think that's something that I always enjoy, is seeing the drivers kind of in a way invent their own ways to find time. And I think we've seen that a lot in this qualifying session.
Yeah, you can see immediately who has been able to adapt to the new sort of driving style and who still needs to get up to speed, or maybe there's drivers who will never get up to speed. I mean, it will take time to find that out. And of course, there's also been 3 changes already to the handling model since the release of the game. There was the new version, then it got patched and changed quite a bit. Then there were some issues with the median traction control, so they had to change things again. Also change the curbs straight away. So another different type of style. I heard the cars are a bit slower now thanks to the changes. So yeah, drivers are really having to adapt a lot, and I commend them for that.
I mean, they've had to change their driving style 3 times in 2 months.
Yes, exactly.
And I know with the latest update, it was just the cars got slower, but as many people put it, as I saw throughout every single, I think, F1 league racing server there is, and just across, I think, the F1 sim racing community, the cars turn in like boats was a very common thing that I was seeing. They felt more like boats than they did F1 cars, and I don't disagree. I've driven the game on all of the patches and everything, and I can collectively say the cars are slower. They've gotten slower. The first patch saw them get sort of slightly slower, but also slightly faster on some tracks, very track dependent. But then, of course, this new patch has seen the cars about half a second slower across, on average across all of the tracks. So, there's been a slight difference. I mean, Belgium, I think we're seeing gaps of about 7 or 8 tenths around Belgium. So sort of around longer circuits, it's a very different, of course, it's a very different deal. They also didn't reset the time trial leaderboards. And so, that's one of the things people aren't happy. Like, I'm not happy with that. I wanted to improve. But no, from my experience so far, and I haven't driven the game a lot, but from my experience, it's definitely an interesting thing to be. It's definitely interesting to keep on changing the way you have to drive, and this game does not suit me at all. And
it actually suits me better. Personally.
Why you? Why?
I don't know. I feel like this kind of style just fits. I feel like I actually gotten faster since the latest patch, and that's saying a lot.
I do agree.
For me.
I do agree. I do agree with you there. I felt like the car's a lot more stable, and it feels a lot more natural. Before it was like you almost had to force the car to drive. Now it just seems to just drive nicely without you having to try and like push it just to do a mediocre lap, but. Turning still a problem that I think everybody agrees on. But we're loading into we're loading into the race now, and so
we are.
We're gonna get going very shortly. I'm just seeing a few people not happy with how the cars react. Like the high speed cornering is a bit odd. I do agree with you. I think high speed cornering's been odd across this entire game, to be honest. So we're gonna return to our lovely. Place of F1. Sorry for the pause screen there. This is going to be an interesting one to see. I really do think this is going to be an interesting one to see. Sorry about the pause screen for just a second. I just need to.
They've mixed up the pit boxes again, so nobody will know who their technical teammate is in this race.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm just praying that equal cars will get fixed quickly.
I do apologize. I'm having to quickly change something last minute. I do apologize if there's any lag during the stream. I don't know what it is at the moment. I suspect it could be internet or it's the lobby that's lagging. For me, it's the lobby that's been lagging. So full apologies there to anybody who experiences that on the stream. Curbs. This is an interesting conversation that I think we can all agree on. Curbs are odd since the two patch. They've had 3 patches, and every time curbs have now changed the way that they react. At the start of the game, it was you could just take curbs, and here we go. We're actually getting racing. It's 4, 5 lights. I know it doesn't show that, but here we go. And we're racing here for PC Tier 3 here in Season 18 of WOR. And it's a good getaway here in Australia for Hassith. He's going into Turn 1, and he will lead out of Turn 1. It is an amazing start from the silver car, as I will call him that. Igor making up a position on Lewis Walker. It's an incredible start. You can see a few drivers going side by side, further back. We're going to look further back, actually. Lewis Walker still fighting with Igor there. He's still going side by side. He's going to try and make his way around the outside. It has worked on that very magenta and bright pink car that we have here tonight. I think it's the brightest car on the entire track at the moment. You cannot miss it at all. But we've got to look to the front because we've got to see Jay Kennedy closing in on Hassith. He's going to move to the inside for the long left-hander. Is he going to go for it? Is he going to send it round the outside? He is on the medium tyres compared to Hassith on the hard tyres. But Hassith will continue to lead in the lap through turn 9 and turn 10 so far. Now heading down towards the next part of the lap. It is still running. And here comes Jay Kennedy down the inside. He's going to send it. Jay Kennedy side by side with Hassith. They're still going side by side. Bit of contact further back. Big lock up further back. And Jay Kennedy takes the lead here in Australia.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, of course. The medium tires for the time being are so much quicker. And I'm surprised Hassith fought it as hard as he did because he knows Jay is going to be quicker for the time being. And he'll be eventually able to reel him back in soon. We can also see Justin Arts going for a move right there, or at least attempting to go for the move on Zalanbieter into turn 1. They go side by side, both on the medium tires. Zalanbieter getting pushed a little bit wide, but it looks like Justin Arts comes out victorious. Another move potentially coming up right behind them between Lucas Beisner and Lewis Walker. Lewis Walker trying to go around the outside and successfully overtaking the McLaren livery F1 World car right there. Or is he? Because Lucas Beisner is still there. He doesn't give up that easily. And they're still going strong side by side. It's going to be interesting when the DRS gets enabled. It's already enabled this lap because don't forget, it does get enabled on lap 2 in this game and in this season. Of course, Lewis Walker now dropping down the order a little bit down to P8. Julian moving up the positions there, taking all the spoils right there. And we see another car reporting for duty with Liam Bauman, also trying to get past all of them. He's got quite a lot of pace in that pretty much golden car right there. Maybe it's the gold that's working in his favor, although technically gold is a really heavy element. Nonetheless, it's Jay Kennedy still leading from his 5th. Jacob Ritsetsut in 3rd position. Justin Arts up to 4th right now. Zalanbieter giving chase. Julian, Lucas, and Lewis behind them. We've got a yellow flag at the back of the field who is spun out right there. It's Daniel Farinelli and Istvan Tamashi, who are both having a nightmare start to the race. No damage, it appears, because they're still continuing on. The other 18 cars still within 1 second of one another on lap 3.
Definitely a good start from Jay Kennedy, the start that he needed. But let's be honest, Hassith, let's just go through the tyres quickly because I've got them up on the screen. I've had them up for a little while. It's quite mixed between mediums and hard tyres. Further towards the back of the grid, hard tyres are dominant. At the front, of course, mediums. So it's definitely a 50-50 scenario at the moment when it comes down to tyre choice. Good start, though, of course, from Jay Kennedy. Great start from Julian, up 4 places. He's had the best start out of any driver in this race, so you've got to give it to him. Jan is making the move further back. He's just made the move on Patrick Pillis, I believe it is. And there's a change for the lead, and yeah, somebody went off. I didn't see what happened. Did somebody close up? And we're going to see Jacob now making a move. Look at this, 3 wide. People making moves everywhere. Bit of contact.
And there's proper contact.
And there goes Hassith. He's dropping down the order further and further. He's still ghosted, so he's getting away with something there.
He's very leggy as well.
Yeah, he is. He definitely does seem to show. Not on my screen, but he definitely does seem to be like that. A little bit more. Julian makes his way past Lewis Walker, by the way. Not sure what happened there. Was it a mistake from Jay Kennedy? Because they just closed up a lot at the end of the straight. Zalanbieter is making his way up into P5 now. P4. And that's a very good move. Very nice. Still going sort of... I'm not sure what to really call that, to be honest. With the ghosting. Lewis Walker making the move on Julian. Julian's struggling a little bit. He's had a bit of a rough lap now. Dropped down in the last sort of few hundred meters. He's dropped down 2 places already. So he's struggling a little bit already on those medium tyres. So that McLaren that McLaren livery not really turning the tyres on at the moment. We're going to look further ahead. Hassith, he stopped going side of other cars. And now he is back to racing and back up to full speed. Will there be a move? Is there a move further back? Because it looked like there was almost a move. It's Liam Bowman who's pushing Julian through the corners. Oh! Bit of contact there. As Bowman went onto the grass for a second. And there goes Bowman. The solid gold car moves up to P8. And that is 4 points now in his race and ahead of Julian. But what has happened to that McLaren livery car? It's just really struggling.
He went up to P6 in lap 2, and now he's back down to P9. He's almost back to where he started. Liam has now gotten past him. He's got a nice run on the golden car ahead, though, but no move coming up as of yet. Of course, all of these cars in an entirely, eternally long DRS train. As Jay Kennedy gives chase to the race leader, Jacob Rutsetsuts. He's trying to make the move there. Had a little bit of a look. You can see the battery lights flashing as well. Everybody charging their batteries as much as they can. Managing that has become a little bit easier, to be fair. Just turn off the battery and make sure nobody else passes you. Easier said than done most of the time, let's be honest. Hasif has started on pole. He's dropped down a little bit, I think. While fighting for his position, he also lets it happen a little bit because he's the only hard tire user apart from the race leader in this group right now, and he's literally in the middle of the pack. We can see once again Jay Kennedy going for the lead of the race, and up he goes back into first place. Jacob let it happen a little bit there. Lucas Beisner now tried to get past, but he got a bit too wide out of the corner, and now he's gotten 2 cars that gone by him, and maybe a 3rd car. We see that both of the cars, Alan Beater and Hassith, going very hard against one another. And now Lewis Walker has to defend against both of the McLaren liveries. I think there's a bit of front wing damage to Lucas Beisner's left end plate. Yes, there is more contact between the cars behind him. Leon Bowman getting past Julian, and another yellow flag. What exactly has happened there then?
I'm not sure. Might be for the damage. Might be for a bit of wing, maybe flying off. I'm not actually sure. Sometimes they do just wave the yellow flags for random reasons on this game, as I've actually realised every so often. But yeah, that's really disappointing for, of course, Lucas Beisner. Still with the damage, he's still keeping up pretty well. I think maybe it's the straight line speed that he's gaining from it at the moment, but this is not going to help his tyres and his tyre temperature. Of course, it's gonna really strain it. It's gonna make it worse. And this is the thing that, you know, drivers have got to think about. Do they want to lose the time by stopping and getting a new front wing, or do they want to keep racing? And the racing happens at the front with Jacob making a very nice move down the back straight with the DRS, as now we've got another new race leader here tonight. Very nice to see that. I believe he's the 3rd or 4th race leader. Very interesting to have that after just 6 laps.
Yeah, Jay and Jacob just switching back and forth a little bit, trying to keep the pinkish cars behind. We see some fighting in the back of the field as well between Tylen Schmidt and Ivan Santamaria, a Tier 3 veteran trying to overtake the new guys, but he's struggling. He's also got Lighty right behind him. They're fighting for 15th, 16th, and 17th, so no points on the board, but they're still fighting for what it's worth. Every position counts while you're trying to make your name shown.
Contact between Jay Kennedy and Jacob. I just saw that while riding on board with Jay Kennedy. He hit into the back of Jacob. He's definitely faster. He definitely wants to get past. He has the ERS, by the way. I think that's why Jay didn't really battle with Jacob, because he has the ERS over Jacob at the moment. He has a slight amount, but they're pretty much similar in it. I thought that was a red light flashing on the back of Jacob, but it isn't. But still, bit of contact there, clearly showing Jay wants Jacob to hurry up a little bit.
Yeah, he's got the medium tire, so he's got the tire advantage for now, but we're in lap 7 already, so that advantage isn't going to last much longer. So he would like to be ahead to hold up Jacob as much as he possibly can. But let's see how much longer he's going to be able to do that. The drivers behind him are eager to get past as well. Hasif is still keeping up with them. Which one of the cars did have damage again? I believe that was, Lucas Beisner is still holding on quite well. But as you're saying, he might strain the tires in his car a little bit too much right here. But as long as he's in DRS range, I don't think he wants to come in for a wing change. Only when he really has to change the tires, he'll likely change the wing as well. And then is when the pain will really come for him.
I do agree with you there. I think this is the thing. One thing I've noticed with this year's game is that tyre wear, of course, was a massive talking point, and is still a massive talking point as we see René Klein and Daniele Farinelli get 3-second time penalties for multiple warnings in 18th and 19th. But what we've seen is tyre wear with this year's game. Bit up and down, shall we say, with the way that it works. But what I've realised is you gain a lot more percentage from following behind the car. You seem to gain... It's not such a huge sort of percentage difference, but it's sort of like maybe 1 or 2% on your tyres each lap over, for instance, if you're in front. So at the moment, you know, looking in the eyes of strategy, maybe Jay Kennedy is now maybe in the worst position out of many.
Yeah, another reason for him to be ahead of Jacob. He's in the softer compound. Those tires were faster, especially if what you say applies for him as well here. So he's doing all he can to get past. But we're approaching lap 9 already. We're about a third into the race right now. There's several cars having formed a small pack behind the main DRS train from 15th downward, to be precise. And the rest is still stuck. I wonder who's going to attempt a brave undercut or maybe even an overcut to see where they can come out in the second half of this race. Lolo Vera is on a roll. He's got a 3-second time penalty to the name, though, so that's bad news for them as well. Trying to get past there, Lucas Beisner in a very unconventional corner to get past turn 4. And not very successful yet, losing both of them a little bit of time. Still within DRS range for Julian, as he's chasing down his McLaren livery teammate right there. In the meanwhile, at front, Sith still closing the gap, trying to stay with the top 5 or the top 4, I should say, and biding his time until those medium tires wear out.
Definitely. The one thing is, Jacob's on hard tires as well. So he'd still only be P2. He still wouldn't be leading. Of course, better position than where he is currently. But you know what I mean. You know, it's still not where he should be. You know, especially from when he started on pole. And it's almost like, in a way, Jacob had the reverse luck of what Hassith had. You know, Hassith bogged down at the start, didn't get away well, really struggled in the first 3-4 laps of the race. Jacob, on those hard tires, sort of came out as sort of top dog in the end. You know, in these first 10 laps that we're having. You know, Jacob he's shown that he's not scared of the drivers behind him, like for instance Jay Kennedy, who's been pressuring him for so long here tonight, and I think we could both agree with that. But I think there's some strategy going on, ERS strategy, of course, and also tyre strategy, pit stops, and let's remember the biggest and best thing, and there's a yellow flag.
Yep, it's Lighty.
Lighty's round, and he does have damage to his front wing down to P19, and he's going to be saying hello to another friend at the back of the grid of the man of It's Van Tomasi. As now you can see, there's a lot of 3-wide action, there's a lot of battling, 4-way battle, and Patrick has just beaten all 3 of them.
That is very impressive. We can see Liam Bowen also tumbling down the order. He was in 8th for a moment, and now he's down to 12. He's got another one side by side there. It's Isaac Liet going up to P12 right now, and Liam down to 13th. He's not really having a great day in the golden car of his right there. So he's going to have to make the most of it. The next car reporting is Jans Verdelik. And actually, Liam is going for a very early pit stop already. Lap 11, or at the end of lap 10, is where he's going for the move. We see Igor Piasecki going for a move there up to 7th place. Lolo Vera has already overtaken Lucas Beisner. His front wing shenanigans are really starting to hurt him right there as he loses positions more and more. And has Sith, there we go, up to 4th place. His hard tires are starting to get the benefit over the others in his area right there. Lewis Walker also closing in on Zallenbieder. In other words, a lot of fighting going on everywhere on track.
Yeah, but remember, these drivers are such a high tier. Even for tier 3, you know, you're at such an incredibly high, spec of racing, and just, the sort of mind games. You have to be playing mind games with the other drivers. You have to be smart about everything you do, from when you overtake to how you use your EOS to the way that you even just take corners. You have to be smart about it all. And let's be honest, the man who's been incredibly smart so far during this entire race has been Jacob. He's been the man who's definitely been on top, and he's clearly shown that, he's used some strategy. He's used some momentum behind him and some, pace getting ready. Zalan beat it into the pits, by the way. He's used his sort of pure, maybe knowledge or pure quality of driving at the moment that we've seen to hold off such great drivers, other drivers like Jay Kennedy and Justin Ertz and, Hasteth and all of these other drivers. And he just seems as cool as a cucumber at the moment. We haven't seen him make a mistake so far.
And I think that's good for him, because when the others come in to switch to the hard tires, they will place a little bit of an undercut. And depending on how powerful that is, we'll have a little bit of catch up to do. But it will be on the medium tires. So let's see what he can do in the second half of the race. Is coming around the corner. And he switches to the medium tires. Now, the groups are really starting to fall apart here. Lewis Walker is losing connection with the top 4. He's struggling to keep up on his older medium tires. Probably the reason why Zalan Bieder came in as well. So he can at least drive some nice laps on his fresh hards. He's 8.6 seconds clear of the next car ahead. He's got plenty of clear air right now to make sure he can make the most of the start of the stint. Let's see if any of the top 4 is coming in right now as they come around the final corner. Those on the mediums are not yielding yet, except for Lewis Walker. There he goes. He's listening to his instinct and goes in for a set of fresh hards to potentially catch. Zalan Bieder as well, I wanted to say, but he gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. It's no longer 5, it's 10, and that is really, really going to hurt him. You really don't want to get that penalty in this game anymore. But he's got it, and that's really going to hamper his race in the final part of it. At lap 13 right now, the top 4 still together. Lolo Vera 2.7 seconds back with Igor alongside him. Let's see what they can do.
I do agree with you. Let's be honest, 10-second time penalty pretty much rules you out of a podium, a win, and most likely, let's be honest, in this race, points. So far, let's be honest about that. He's probably ruled out of the points now. Change for the lead. Took him a while. We've had to wait, 6-7 laps now. But Jay Kennedy returns to the lead here in Australia. It's nice to see that dark blue car back in the lead. But, of course, Jacob will not be the man wanting that dark blue car in front. He'll be wanting it far in his mirrors and drifting off into the distance. Sadly, that's not how it is going, because Jay Kennedy comes into the pits, by the way, as he's now coming in. Justin Ertz also coming into the pits. By the way, these guys were also previously teammates as well in another team. So, quite nice to see a few old teammates. Julian, 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Man.
Everybody's getting a hit with these. Are they just rushing a bit too much? Are they just a bit too...
I think so.
I don't want to say excited to get into the pits, but are they just trying to push those margins? Of course, they're going to be pushing the margins as much as they can, but are they just doing it a little bit too much and really hindering them? But by the way, Zalan Bieder has jumped Jay Kennedy and Justin Ertz.
Yep, as expected. But Jay Kennedy, though, really close behind Zalan Bieder at the moment. I don't think it will take too long for him to overtake. He has to, because I think... Jay Kennedy at this point in this game's life cycle has got a bit more pace than Zalan as we speak. They're now on equal tires, although Jay's tires are 2 laps fresher, as we see Isaac Leet going for a move on Patrick Pillis, going up into what is right now P5. I believe Igor did the same on Lolo Vera. But we're watching Jay Kennedy as he goes side by side there with Zalan Bieder, and the move is done already. He'll get another stretch of DRS for himself here, and then it is all up to him to make sure he leaves the rest far behind. Is it there's going to be another move yet right there? It's Lewis Walker, who would really like to get past as well, and he successfully does so. Whoa, Zalan Bieder nearly losing the car, and plowing himself into the side of Justin Arts' very pink car there indeed. Justin Arts really eager to get past as well. His tires are just a little bit fresher too. 2 laps a difference. It appears that's quite a lot already in terms of pace difference. Patrick Pittis is going to fresh medium tires for the remainder of the race. 14 laps. That's going to be quite the stretch, especially at the end. In the meanwhile, at the front of the field, Sith and Jacob Rosetsut still fighting for the lead of this race. Jacob just taking it easy right behind our pole sitter right there.
Yeah, as you've seen, Istvan Tomasi, the man who's been, let's be honest, probably one of the most experienced drivers in Tier 3, being the first retirement of Season 18. Always disappointing to see, but it wasn't his day. It's really, nothing has gone his way for this race, or in the qualifying, nothing has gone his way here tonight. But he will be coming back with, vengeful next race to try and do even better and get a very good result. And I really do hope he does, because he had a bit of a rough season last season as well. Quite up and down results. Oh! Julian off track. He was pushed off track by, I believe that was, might have been Liam Bowman, might have been Lucas Baisner. I'm not 100% sure. We can see Lolo Vera into the pits now. And that's some fighting going on there. They're getting a little bit too close, a little too close for comfort, I think. And they're getting a little bit too aggressive as well.
They're very feisty, aren't they? And who doesn't like to see that? A little bit of drama going in Tier 3 already. Thankfully, no major incidents just yet. No car is heavily crashing out on the track at the moment. One retirement indeed from Istvan Tamashi. Let's hope for his sake things will be better in the future. Those are the hard tires are nearing the end of their stint as well. The top 6 now on 15-lap old hards, and they will definitely have some catching up to do. The next car actually is Lewis Walker in 7th, and he's gaining on the incline very quickly right now, within a second. And I wonder if that is going to hold his advantage right there a little bit, with Jay Kennedy in tow, Alan Bieder, Justin Arts hanging on as well. Oliveira now on fresh mediums. Let's see if he can catch some extra pace there as well. So the top 2, what are they going to do? I think they're going to stretch it for 1, maybe 2 more laps. Let's find out. No, it's Hasith who's bailing out right now. Another driver going for the fresh mediums and trying to undercut Jacob Rosetsut, the race leader. As we speak, coming in the pit, Isaac Lead as well. And Lewis Walker is already making the moves. Jay Kennedy in the final corner. That's a really rare position there to make a move, but he makes it work somehow. Jay Kennedy is really on the move. He knows what he has to do to make sure he stays as far ahead of the race leader right now as he can. And that means overtaking Lewis Walker wherever he can, as long as it goes clean, because you don't want damage to your car right now. Zalon Bieder, Justin Arts actually going for the move from Zalon Bieder. Can he make it stick on the inside? Zalon, pushes him a little bit wide. Justin doesn't want to bail out just yet, but he has to slot in behind the other pink car right there. I really wish I could say the actual car brand, so I really hope the equal car get fixed quickly. Either way, let's see how the fight continues between these 2 drivers, because they are really on a roll right now.
Yeah, they're on a roll, but they're also losing time because they are fighting each other.
Yes.
Constantly, and this, I know, I get the point of it, but at this level you need to be thinking about the end of the race, not what you currently want. It's all about the end of the race, and I think maybe they're just getting a little bit too feisty and just a little bit too preoccupied on who's got track position right now.
Yeah, there goes the final 2 hard tire users for a fresh set. The gap between Jay and Jacob was about 10-ish seconds as he came into the pit lane. So the gap is going to be quite sizable when Jacob comes out. He gets down to 5th place right now. Will it be even worse than that? Will Hasith get past? Going to be close, but Hasith, I think, is going to make the boot quite easily. Or is he? Yes, good turn 1 he goes. He's also ahead of Jacob, and Jacob now has got a mighty job to do to overtake all of them to get back in the race lead. Lewis Walker won't be an issue, 10-second penalty for him, but the other cars he's going to have to overtake for sure.
Yeah, this is the problem. He's trying to go long on those hard tires. This is always the risk with Australia. I think everybody agrees you always have this risk with this track, is the tires don't last or they're too slow at the end of the stint. And I think Jacob has found himself caught out by that. And even on the medium tires, by about lap 25, we'll be seeing those mediums really, they'll start to drop off and the mediums hards will sort of equal out. And he's got a big gap to, gain on. He's got to gain 6 seconds to get up to Zalon Bieder. The fact that, they're already going through another corner, the fact that the top, 4 are currently going through a different corner compared to these guys really does show the sort of difference, the time difference at the moment. between sort of P5 and P4. Julian gets another 3-second time penalty. Igor making some moves. What a difficult day it has been for that majestic.
Yeah, a lot of time penalties out there today.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something that we got to think about that as well. Lewis Walker has a penalty on top of it as well. So at the moment, Zalan Bida will make his way onto the podium as it stands. Liam Bowman with a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. One driver though that we haven't covered really, and we haven't spoken about, Ivan Santamaria, very much under the radar, yet on his way for P7. Whoa! There's been a bit of a spin. Liam Bowman almost crashing out. He hit the wall with his rear tyre, but almost crashing out there. He was squeezing another driver at the same time. But as I was saying, Ivan Santamaria has made his way up into the top 10, and we were saying this man was going to have a tough day, as Lewis Walker takes the lead here in Australia for the first time here tonight. Again, Lewis Walker and Jay Kennedy were also teammates along with Justin Ertz. So a lot of these guys being teammates and friends out in the top 4 at the moment. But we're going to see what these guys can do. It's, 3 out of the 4 drivers in the top 10 are in FVR. So a very heavily occupied spot by that one team, isn't it?
They're doing quite well out there, and I don't think Jay Kennedy is going to be too worried about Lewis in front right there because of that 10-second time penalty that Lewis has, and of course Jay, Justin, and Zalan know that as well, so they're going to go low risk on overtaking the race leader at the moment. But other than that, they're also looking at the gap that Jacob has. His gap has remained stable at 6.9 seconds over the course of the last lap. I've been keeping a little bit of an eye on it. I think Jacob is currently very unhappy that he's behind Hasif. Because passing on this track isn't that easy if you're not close enough. And right now, Hasif and Jacob are on pretty much the same pace. Their tires are about as old as one another, just 1 lap of difference. That shouldn't be counting for too much time. He does get a purple first sector, so maybe the time has come for him to push. He has to. 6.5 seconds to make up in 10 laps. It is possible if you're really going to go for it right here, but he's still saving battery as Lewis Walker gets re-overtaken by Jay Kennedy, and Jay retakes the lead. Of course, Justin wants to get past quickly as well, so he's making the move. Nice and easy does it. Up into second place. Zalan Bida hanging back there still, but within DRS range. Jacob's gap, 6.1.
Definitely something to be looking at there with Jacob at the moment. Those mediums haven't worked out at all. He's saving ERS, but is he just saving too much now? He
needs to get past.
Push because, the lap is now lap 21 as they head onto it. There's only 8 laps left. He's got to try and make up over a 5-second gap to P4 and then make it past 4 more drivers. Do you think it's possible, or do you think at the moment, if he takes P5, he should just walk away with that and be happy?
I think if he wants anything, he needs to get past Hasif at the very next opportunity he gets. Otherwise, I'm afraid it's going to take too long because Hasif isn't catching them fast enough. I do not know how much more pace Jacob has in his reserves right now, in his tires, in fact, as we get another yellow flag at the back of the field. Something is going on, definitely. Liam Bowman has been tumbling down the field, in fact, now down in 16th. Not a great day for him either. Here goes Jacob Tetsudo trying to go around the outside. Hasif is going to go defensive. How close are they going to be? No, Hasif slots in behind. He knows he can't really defend that much from the men in the black car as he goes up into 5th place. Now they get 5.6 seconds to the race leader. That means 4.7 until he hits DRS on Zalan Bida. But still then, 4 cars to overtake. Although Lewis Walker out of contention for the win. So 3 cars for the win. Let's see if he can do it.
Still a car to overtake, though. Still the same problem. Lewis Walker just made a mistake, by the way. He made quite a large mistake down the straight because he's just down to P4. And he's really struggling on those hard tyres. I think he doesn't have damage. He doesn't appear to have damage. But it does rarely show on the game, let's be fair. It's only really front wing damage. Liam Bowman, 10-second time penalty. He's out. His day's done. Why is so many of the drivers who performed pretty well last season struggling early on so far? They're all struggling a little bit so far in this first race. There's plenty of time, but still not the best first race for some of our more experienced drivers, of course, in the tier. But you have to say the grid is in their little groups at the moment, aren't they? You've got the front 4. Then you got the next guys going down to P10, and then you got 2 drivers. Then you got Isaac on his own, and then you got this small group, and then you got 2 drivers further back as Julian makes his move for P12 over Igor. But there's 2 drivers that I need to talk about and what has happened to them. One is Julian, really strong start, he's really struggled since. And Igor, this was, we were saying about Igor being in, he was in a chance for pole position. He was looking like a really good sort of driver, strong driver, possibly going on for pole position. And just since then, it's just all fallen apart. I think he's been mixed up, of course, in a few incidents on that one. I think he got into a few scraps, a few collisions with a couple of other drivers. But since then, Igor's very much sort of gone undetected, excluding the bright pink livery.
I was about to say, it's hard to let him go undetected with his striking pink. But yeah, he's been tumbling a little bit as well. Jay Kennedy and Justin Arts are now fighting for the lead of the race. Let's see who comes out in front. Jay Kennedy remains the strongest for now. Zalan Bieder getting involved as well, and Hasif re-overtaking Jacob. I think they're trying to tow one another along because it's not going fast enough. We got another yellow flag on the section where these cars just were. Not sure which car exactly had an incident right there. Nonetheless, though, they've got 5 seconds still, and the gap is actually, believe it or not, slowly increasing. They've now got Lewis Walker for company, who's gone really slow. He's just losing time and lots of time, and he's now holding them up massively. Hasif is just telling him to get out of the way, please, and Lewis is going extremely defensive, weaving on the straight as he tries to keep all of the cars behind, but he can't. But at least the Sith has gone past. Now Jacob has to get past here as well. He's taking a warning because he gets pushed a little bit wide there, but he's still having to slot in behind Lewis Walker. Now he's going to have to try and go around the outside, and we've got a virtual safety car. Lots of things that suddenly happen all at once, and this is disaster for the man who's trying to get to the lead of the race. His gap is quickly increasing, of course, because they have to adhere to the delta. But Jacob is still hanging in 6th as Sif has gone past. And Lewis Walker, where did this drop in pace suddenly come from? There has to have some damage somewhere.
Yeah, I do agree. Damage is... he hasn't had any collisions or anything. That's the strange thing. He hasn't had any collisions. There's no visible damage, on his front wing. He's just been quite an odd one. But you know what's bad for these guys? Is the virtual safety car, especially for drivers.
And now he gets to drive through as well.
That is a great restart, actually. And jumping ahead of Hasith, perfect restart from the man of Lewis Walker.
Yeah, but it got him a drive-through, so I'm not sure how great it is, unless you were sarcastic about it. I'm sorry, but it didn't really work for him there.
Hasith and Jacob, let's be honest, they're ruled out of a win here. Or podium.
Yeah, it's very unlikely now.
The virtual safety car, let's be honest, I think the virtual safety car has definitely hurt them a bit. There's some side-by-side action over the position of P5. Hasith trying to hold on. As you can see, again, Jacob running off wide. He's going to get overtaken by Jan, who's coming out of nowhere. And now, Lola Vera also trying to make the move. Some side-by-side, quite a bit of locking up. Smoke going everywhere. Around the outside, Jan trying to make the move. Can he make it move? Can he make it stick? No, he can't. He's going to have to stay behind just for a bit longer. But this is definitely boiling up to be an interesting race. René Klein, another driver that we know.
That's number 4.
Oh, and 3 of the drivers from last season. Look at all of this. Look at all of this.
Lewis is now letting them all pass, but I can't help but notice he's managed to hold them up a long time. And I know they're all in FVR, but I'm not suggesting anything, but I wonder if that's got something to do with it. But the top 3 is now entirely consisting of his league mates right there. And he's now yielded and given it up. But he's had a very, very strong defense to keep his position. And now he has to yield, of course, because of the drive-through. But that was a very interesting moment there from Lewis Walker, as he gone very defensive against those who were trying to chase down the top 3.
Yeah. Oh, Lewis Walker.
And he retires.
Yeah.
Yep.
He retires another driver. Oh, we're having quite a few retirements. 5th retirement, by the way, tonight as well. 5 retirements, quarter of the grid gone. Quite an interesting one. But we've got to look to this battle for the win at the moment. Final 4 laps, final 4 chances. for these drivers. 4 chances that Jay Kennedy could hold on to the lead. 4 chances for Justin Ertz and Zalan Bida to get past him. But I have an idea of what Jay Kennedy's doing. I think he's slightly backing them up on the straight to try and make Zalan Bida and Justin Ertz battle. I think that's what he's going to be doing.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Justin and Zalan are going to fall for it.
Maybe, but remember, Zalan Bida still wants to make up those positions and get P2. So we'll have to see as, we are about to come onto the final 3 laps here in Australia. And as it is the final 3 laps in Australia, please put your predictions in the live chat right now on who you think is going to win. It's a 3-way battle for the win, and it is coming down to the wire here in Australia on a different side of the planet compared to usual. So you can just see Justin Ertz, that pink and blue car, just sitting in the mirrors of Jay Kennedy. Maybe a little bit of intimidation is going on here. Maybe a little bit of intimidation, being there going, I'm here, I have DRS, I have the slipstream, I have the power over you to get past, but I'm just going to wait and let the pressure build. And I think that's Justin Ertz's idea at the moment.
Yeah, Zalan Bida at the moment just hanging back. Nice and easy does it. He had a 9-10 second gap, but it's closing down a little bit. And that proves that Jay, is not going flat out on the straights as fast as he can, as those using DRS are closing on him very, very quickly indeed. Sif and Jacob have swapped positions. Now it's Jacob ahead into 4th place right now. He's 7 seconds away from the race lead. Unless a miracle happens in front for him, he's out of winning contention after a feisty defense. Anyway, there's a few laps now to go, and that means 2 more laps to go, so we're nearing the finale. It's Jay, Justin, and Zalan fighting it out for the victory right here. It's 1 blue car, 2 pink cars right there. Let's see who's going to come out best. I am not sure who is going to come out of the winner of this. Jay Kennedy has looked strong all throughout this race. Justin and Zalan, though, have managed to keep up, especially in the hard tire stint. Let's see if Jay can withstand the pressure from behind.
They're struggling a little bit this lap in Sector 1. They've dropped back about 0.3 of a second from the start line. So they've struggled a little bit more on this lap. Of course, DRS is going to be really strong. Same with Slipstream. But maybe, looking at Jay Kennedy, he hasn't got as much ERS as Justin Ertz or as Zalan Bida, but he's still got about 70% sitting in his battery at the moment. So don't count him out. That he could put on a really good defense here. You can see some battling. Lucas Bays. Now we've got quite a lot of battling actually happening on further back. Contact. I think we might see a 3-wide moment as now we head down into the next corner. Contact. A little bit of a scuffle. As Lucas Bays, they're even more battling further back. Jan makes his way up to P6. You can see Ivan Santamaria trying to make his way up into P8, but he will get P6 in the end because of penalties. But we're going to go into the final lap here in Australia. Jay Kennedy leads. Let's see who will come out on top. So far, Jay Kennedy leads through turn 1 and turn 2. Let's see if he gets to this corner without an overtake taking place. And he does. It's pretty much confirms he's going to be leading throughout the rest of Sector 1 for most of Sector 2 as well. So here he comes, coming round the fast right-hander now, the flat-out corner. He's now going to be heading down to finish off the end of Sector 1, using the corner well, trying to get a good exit. Did he get a good exit? He did get a slightly better exit than ultimately Justin Ertz. Now, here they come down the back straight. Justin Ertz, Zalan Bida, using everything they've got. ERS, DRS. Justin Ertz around the outside. He's made the move before turn 9 and turn 10. He's done it. And there goes Justin Ertz into the lead. But will we see Jay Kennedy come back here? Will Zalan Bida try and go for P2? Yes, he is. He's going to head down the inside. Can he do it? No, he won't. He's not going to have the time. It is the last-minute move from Justin Ertz to take the lead of the race here. He's only got 2 more corners to negotiate before he crosses the line to win. Can he do it? He's got to hold it through here, down the pit straight. He's got to get a good exit. Does he get a good exit? He gets a decent exit. Now heading down the pit straight. As he comes across the line, Justin Ertz wins in Australia in WOR PC Tier 3 in Season 18 in the season opener, as Jay Kennedy and Zalan Bida finish off the podium.
It's an FVR top 3 entirely right there, with Jacob coming in 4th position, 8.5 of the lead. Hasith in P5, then Ivan Santamaria with all the penalties applied from P6 downwards in 6th. So a brilliant race from him. We have to say that one. Good job starting from, what was it, 18th or something like that? So a brilliant race by our tier 3 veteran. Lucas Beisner slotting in 7th, so a good job for him. Jan Sverdlik in P8, Igor Piacicki in P9, and then, of course, Isaac Lead finishing off the point-paying positions in 10th place.
We have one last car to cross the line, and that's Julian. Julian having a...
He's going to go for the fastest lap, isn't he?
Maybe. We'll have to see. Yes,
there we go. That's the fastest lap.
Well, whatever it was, I don't know what it is. Justin Ertz. You talk about last minute. You talk about, you know, leaving it till the last second to make a move, and he did that right there and then. And it's interesting to see where we saw Justin Ertz really driving from, because for quite a while, you know, he sort of sat there, didn't really seem like he wanted to attack, but he was also having to defend from Zalambida quite a few times. But ultimately, when he needed to drive well, when he needed to pressure Jay Kennedy, he did, and he did it perfectly. And let's run through the order of the race. From 5th to 1st, Justin Ertz opens Season 18 of PC Tier 3 with a victory here tonight, with Jay Kennedy in 2nd and Zalambida finishing in 3rd. Jacob has a bit of a rough race, finishing 4th, with Hasith in 5th from 1st to 5th. Bit of a disappointing one. Ivan Santamaria, the man, the mission, he did it all. P17 to P6, very good. Lucas Beisner finishes 7th, Jan finishes in 8th, Igor 9th, and Isaac Leeds finishing out the top 10 with Lo Vera in 11th, Patrick Pillis in 12th, Tyler Schmid in 13th, Daniele Farinelli in 14th, and Julian finishing out of the finishers with the fastest lap. The retirees from this race were Lewis Walker, Rene Klein, Liam Bowman, TTM Lighty, and Itzvan Tomasi.
And a lot of time penalties. This track was brutal on track limits today. And yeah, Julian with the fastest lap of the race, about half a second quicker than the second fastest lap from Lewis Walker, in fact, who had to retire from this race after his 10-second penalty, as well as a drive-through after the virtual safety car. Things haven't gotten all as well for him as he would have liked. Nonetheless, though, Justin will be leading this championship going forwards from this round. Let's see if he can keep it through the next races and find out what the pace is of the other drivers when the tracks change in, well, let's say difficulty. Track limit-wise, Austria next week could be another struggle for some, because that one is really brutal as well. But we'll have to wait and see.
We're definitely going to have to wait and see about that. But it is, we don't have interviews because we don't have an interview screen. So we should have interviews next week, though. So thumbs up with that. We will be having
fingers crossed.
Yeah, we should be having.
And thumbs up as well. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get it. Well, we will get it for next week. But ultimately, I think that race was so exhausting. I think the drivers wouldn't particularly want to join us anyway. Ultimately, it's been great. It's sadly, of course, that time of the stream where we've got to say goodbye to everybody. It's been amazing to return here in WOR PC Tier 3. It's always great to return every single season. So let's just have a quick look through the calendar and what we're going to be seeing. Like you said, next week we're going to Austria. Then we're going to be going to Belgium, Sao Paulo, then Qatar, and then Abu Dhabi before we then take a break week before we go to Italy, Bahrain, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, and finally on the 30th of September where we will ultimately have our finale at the track of Suzuka in Japan. I hope everybody's had a great day. Thank you to our sponsors of course, Grid Finder and Next Level Racing. Thank you so much. Also, thank you to everybody for watching. It's been absolutely amazing. I hope you guys have really enjoyed it. Also, as you see, all the socials of WOR are above, literally on the screen right now, with our TikTok, our Twitter, and also our YouTube channel, which you are literally watching right now. Ultimately, I hope everybody has a great day. It's been very great. It's been amazing to be back with you once again, Frostbreath. And any last words before we say goodbye and we will then return.
Oh, what can I say? Pleasure as always, and let's see what the season is going to bring.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. Ultimately, thank you so much, everybody. I hope everybody has an absolutely amazing week, and we will see you very soon. Goodbye.